In this movie, let's continue looking at that global configuration. Let's look at this system this time. The first system setting that you see is the secret word. Basically, this is generated by Joomla when we first install it. You can't change it. It's basically just used by Joomla so it can have its own internal security. We have a path to our logs folder. Whether or not we want to enable web services. Basically, this feature lets Joomla make remote procedure calls using HTTP and then XML. Our help server, what our default help server is. Right now it's going to an English help server. So when I click this little help button up here, that's automatically where it goes. I can click that and choose a different one. If I want Spanish, Italian, I can do that differently. Whether or not I want to allow user registration. When new users register, what do I want them to be? Authors that could submit articles? Or do you just want them as registered users? New user account activation. If you set this to yes, they get an email in their email account that they have to click on a link from in order to actually activate their account. This will keep people from just filling out tons and tons of registration options so that you can actually get true users. They get it in their email and they have to click the link to make it active. Front end user parameters. That's if you want to show those. You can let users select their language. They can select their article editor. And they can select help site preferences. Below here are media settings. Media, remember, typically are graphics, those items. These are legal extensions. Those are the types of files users are allowed to upload. You might check those extensions, just arrow through them, just in case you use a specific type of program that possibly that extension might not be in there, so you want to check. The maximum size, and notice that's in bytes, which means this is about 10 megabytes. I can change that if I want to. The path to our media folder, the path to our image folder. Do we want to restrict uploads? Yes or no? This restricts uploads by user type. The MIME types, by default, this is set to yes. This is mainly so that users don't upload malicious files to our site. Here are the legal image extensions. This is going to limit the types of images people can upload. If we have any ignored extensions, it's not going to be checked. Legal MIME types, and of course illegal ones. And whether or not we want to enable the Flash uploader. Alright, over here, debugging. Debug system. This is going to give us, if we set it to yes, diagnostic information. It's going to give us SQL errors. Those things will show up at the bottom of a page, and they're going to show up whether we're on the front end or the back end, and show us if we have some errors. Debug language. That's going to turn on these indicators of debugging for our Joomla language files. Cache settings. If we want to enable that, it's going to keep a local copy of a content on our server to speed up our accessing. It just lessens the time, especially if your Joomla site is hosted outside of here and that server seems to be bogged down and really slow. It's a good idea just to enable the cache so things move a little bit quicker between your site and the database and all that informational exchange. Remember earlier we talked about cleaning the cache and purging the cache? Those are the things you want to do when you do set this option to yes. The cache time. The maximum amount of time for a cache file to be stored. You don't want it stored forever because you'll end up with an out-of-date file. And the cache handler, our only option there, of course, is file. The session lifetime. This is very important. How long should you allow somebody to remain signed on when they're inactive? So if they're inactive for 15 minutes, it's going to automatically log them off. So think about that. How long do you want people to be able to be signed on? A lot of times people will have numerous places open at once, and it might bug them if it's constantly logging them off. You could also do a poll. Ask people how long should that stay on there so that people don't have to log in again. It is for their security so that nobody just grabs their computer that they used an hour ago and they're still logged on and they can goof around under their user login name. So definitely make sure that is set. And our session handler, of course, is going to be our database.